Got Hylton here, talking to my wife, on the bike, riding around, leaving McDonald's to Target, so I don't have my helmet on. He's like, "Oh, you don't have your helmet on." The right shopping center. Looking around, feeling the wind in my hair, stopping the hill. It's because of the shopping center variety. Cars really around. Riding around the back of Target so I can just do anything I want. I can just sit around and smile in. Well, maybe one of my watch. Just chill, in the store to look at some stuff. Shop around 5 and 6. Then you get a lock. Target here has a little thing you lock onto your bike, so that's great. I want you to use a post. I've told you before I got my D-lock is great. That's the thing to get, really. But a lot of times you can't hook it to stuff. You have to have a second, longer cable or lock. Cables are pretty cheap, easy to cut, but they're a deterrent. You just wrap it around there with a D-lock, and then it makes it look like too much work, too much to deal with. So hopefully they wouldn't take the bike. And if your bike's super duper expensive, you probably wouldn't be your Target. You'd ride your cheap bike. You probably have more than one. You'd ride your cheap bike to Target. And on the trails with your friends, not the expensive one. Everyone watches each other's bikes. Who's waiting down at the deal. So, I've got my little cargo bike here. I call it my little mini cargo. It's got a little basket. Go to the electric tower. It's 9-speed. They don't make it anymore. They make it 7-speed. I got a step to the bottom. Although the second bike, I think I can get it more across the top. I'd like to take you a ride to East Golden Adventure. I'll kind of walk around, see what's going on. Sorry. Now we're Target. Eastside Adventure is here. In Spring Hill, Florida, Brooksville, Florida area. It's confused which one's which because they're right just next to each other. Whee! It says 10 o'clock. I don't know if they're open yet. A lot of Cannondales, tons of electric bikes, regular Cannondales you can get. Great little store. I bought a couple things there. Could be a good day to get a haircut. Just cycle over and get super cuts in your body. Weather beautiful up in Florida. See regular trees in Florida too, besides palm trees everywhere. There's pretty much regular trees around everywhere. A lot of neighborhoods plant palm trees to give you that Florida feel. This parking lot is covered with regular leafy trees. I don't see one palm tree. If they had somebody just to make it look like Florida. Record cycle. Well, how far did we go? 0.48 mile. That's good. That's neat. Getting out in the air. Cycling around. Shopping center parking lots are really neat for that. Breeze. Running a little stop sign. Very cool. Let's see if I can angle you a little bit more. Yeah, get more my Margaritaville t-shirt in there. That's important. Key West, that's a place. It had a lot of cycles, people riding around, doing stuff. That was neat. Somebody in their car looking at me like, well, who's he talking to? Let's see. Lovely trees. You've got to get out. You got to get those muscles moving when you get a little older. Riding a bike is neat. It gets you. I mean, I zipped over here to McDonald's, got an iced coffee. I've got a little cup holder here, a little bag-like thing on my bike. Had one since I was a kid. Always had the cup holder. Used to have it like right up front in the middle, little metal one. I'd ride to McDonald's when I was a kid. About a mile away. You didn't care when you were a kid. You just rode. Big trucks would zip by you. You didn't care. I usually face traffic those days because I didn't have a helmet. It wasn't that safe. Big spider bike, So I encourage you to get out. Get some vitamin D from the sunshine. Look at the weather. Look for the best time, the warmest part of the day. That's good for you. About 71 to 75 is great weather. In Florida, the humidity can get up late in the day, so what you do is you ride up early in the morning. I started out, it was 68. It was cool. I'm in shorts, man. T-shirt and shorts. My bike, I don't have what's called clipless pedals, where you have to have special shoes and stuff. I have just sneakers because I walk in Target and I walk around, do my shopping. Have a little basket on the back. You could have a rack, a basket, a front basket, anything to get some of the stuff done. You can't do everything. I mean, in Florida, our water softeners in these giant bags of salt, and I was like, I'm not doing that. 20 to 40 pound bags, that's not going to happen. Take the car for that. Or you can order stuff now from these stores. Walmart will deliver these different things. If you get some heavy stuff, you just order it and pay a little extra. But the rest of the time, you're not spending any money. If you don't have a car, you can ride your bike and pick up the basics and have everything else delivered. So get out every chance you get. Look at that scenery. Isn't that neat? And I'm in the middle of the far end of the parking lot, away from everybody. Just talking to you guys, saying thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up for YouTube, make them happy. Give me a like. Get out and ride. Even in the winter, people ride, or they ride inside. You have indoor trainers, so it ain't real bad. But there are videos online where people up north ride. Get out and have some tricks of the trade. Get themselves out with big gloves and stuff that have to go to commuting for work, even as best they can. And they have the tricks of the trade. You don't want to ride a bike on a busy highway, but there are side streets. Look at your Google Maps. Go, whoop, you check those out. Side streets, even if there's no sidewalk, a side street with no traffic. They'll pass you. Get your mirror. Check your mirror. Turn your head. Keep your head on the swivel. Listen. Don't have any headphones blocking both ears. You can have it in one ear. Bone conducting headphones are great, or no headphones. Most people like no headphones. They just want to hear and look and be defensive. Wear your helmet, gloves. The little bike gloves are great. I mean, if you fall and your hand goes like this, you skinned those hands up bad when you hit the asphalt, right? Grass, asphalt, concrete, you skinned them up. So let's not do that. You've only got one head. And as you get older, life reverses for you. For newborn babies, their skin's still a little thin. So you want to, when you wipe their little bottoms and stuff with the little wipes, you got to be gentle. You got to be careful. Can't just, So when you get older, your skin gets thinner. We revert back to the little baby. We're going backwards, kind of. We're not as fit as we used to be. We recover slower, so when we get a cut, bruise, osteoporosis might be slowly setting in. The gaps between our spines, the little cushy stuff, starts getting thinner and thinner, so we start shrinking. So when you think you're 6'1" like me, you're really 5'11" and a half now. You know, you think, oh yeah, I'm 6'1". They measure you at the doctor's office. Oh, you're really like 5'0". And you're like, oh, let me put the shoes back on. Maybe I can get a little taller that way. But I remember when my dad, 6'1", 6'2", you know, he was up there. We were at an Asian restaurant. They had mirrors on the wall, and I was looking at him like, Dad, am I taller than you? And he said, probably. And I was like, dang, you shrunk a little bit. And I was just a smidgen taller. So your skin's a little thinner, you're gonna fall, you hit your head. Poor little head, you know, you're wearing glasses now. Look at that, that's just sad. So I remember when I wore glasses just to read, and I got called to jury duty, and I heard, you know, you can get out of jury duty if you look smart. Got called to the jury, had the glasses in my pocket, my little glass holder. Sat down in the back row. They start calling jurors to come up front to see the lawyers and to get sworn in if they want to keep you and stuff like that. As soon as my butt had hit the chair, didn't hit it. Boom. Getting down there, they call my name. I was like, oh my gosh. Glasses are in my pocket. I reached down. Yeah, dang. So I go up there with no glasses. Both lawyers have turned and looked to see who's coming, to see if they want to keep me. You know, I mean, you hear the stories. I've heard it from my customers. You know, they're asking me what happened on jury duty, because they all heard. And the lawyers were all asking because they want to know what happened, because as soon as it turns out they're a lawyer, they get bumped. They don't want any lawyers on jury duty. They don't want smart people on jury duty. They want to be able to talk to you, tell you stuff, and you go, really? And you believe them, and you get sympathy for the person, the guy, girl, whoever's on trial, and you can get easily swayed to their position. So being too smart, watching the news, reading the newspaper a lot, they don't like that. So here I am. I learned that on the OJ trial. They were talking about, you know, the things they were looking for. If you read the comics first, you're on the jury. If you read the business and news and real heavy into news and stuff, probably not going to be on jury. You might, but it depends on the mood of the judge too. I was on a federal trial, and the judge got aggravated with the two lawyers and started saying, "Can I ask the questions?" And they were like, "Yes, Your Honor," because he was a big time judge. He was a customer of ours. I know who he was. He's asking the questions, and he picks 3 of us right away for this trial. And I'm like, damn. And he says, "You got any problem with these? This pick?" And both lawyers are like, "No, sir. No, sir." And he moved it along. We were running out of jurors. He said, "We can't run out of jurors on the federal trial." In federal court, we all sat in the back row, and they called us. In the local court, they had rooms for us with popcorn and videos to watch, and it was read a book, work, do a little work, and then they'd call you, and you had to be in the back row then. So jury duty, I got picked, and the people next to me on left and right both had glasses on. They did not get picked. They got dismissed, and I was like, oh, what the hell? So trial goes on. This guy had committed so many crimes. They had all these papers on him. They hand out the different things all the times he's missed trials. Just missed. Like, wouldn't he be? No. He had skipped out, not showed up, gotten in trouble. The police knew it. I mean, they had arrested him a couple times before. And I'm like, really? Said he was drunk driving, he'd flipped the car over, no license. And I was like, and then it turns out this other guy who's in the back of the courtroom, he's sitting there, and by the end of the day, it turns out he says he was the driver, which the police were like, no, he wasn't there. And he says, no, I got scared and ran in the woods. And they're like, we had to help the guy out of the car. He was in the driver's seat. He couldn't move hardly. He was not in the passenger seat. And they're like, no, he was in the passenger seat. He must have moved over. And you're like, no, really? And still it was a hung jury. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, still it was a hung jury. But yeah, later in the trial when they hand those papers out, people are putting glasses on left and right to read the papers. And I'm looking like, we're all older and blind. Oh my gosh, it was sad. And the theory you had growing up, why don't we just get older people? Yeah, now that's catching up with me. To be on the jury, right? They don't have nothing to do. They're retired or whatever, you know, they got time. And there was one old man, I mean, 80, 90, I don't know. He was old and shuffling, and he barely got to the jury box. He shuffled in, and the girl was kind of smiling, covering her face. And she was like this, you know, trying to think of, you know, how to ask the questions to the old guy. Let's go move along. A yellow jacket has found me and says, I like him. And she's, you know, kind of, you can tell she's small. But she did a good job. She asked him the same questions pretty much she was asking everybody else. And he answered them, and he said he could do it. He could be on the jury. And we were looking at him like, oh, poor guy. And he's just, you just had that feeling like, no, we shouldn't really. I mean, he looked like he was pretty sharp still, but it was just so much effort for him to get to the booth, sit down. He was ready to stay and do his job and stuff. And you could tell she was just kind of like, well, we would like to dismiss this, sure, if there's no objection from the other lawyer. And the other lawyer was no problem. You know, we can dismiss this because, you know, he knew too. Everyone knew. He was just getting too old, frail, and, you know, just wanted to say thank you, send him home at the end of the day. You know, you did your job, you came by. And it's just fun riding around, just talking. I love it. I don't have many, because I'm circling Target in the back of Target. Back of stores are great places to test your ride, train when if you get a bike, don't know what you're doing. I used to come in these parking lots when I lived in North Carolina. It would snow and ice up. I love mall parking lots, big parking lots like this. I would go in on slow, nothing around, no curbs, no poles, and hit the brakes and the car would skid. You know how you're supposed to turn the car into a skid so that it would kind of right itself a little bit. Well, I do that several times in the parking lot. Hit the brake, you get a little speed up, you hit the brake and it goes, and then you correct it. Hit the brake again, you correct it. You practice that so that it becomes a little more instinctive. Because when you get on the real road and you start sliding, you want to have be turning the correct way, and you want it to be kind of effortless. So I'd practice a couple times before getting out. And in North Carolina, a lot of times the snow was crunchy and soft the first day. And that was cool. I could crawl into work. It took forever, but I'd crawl in. And by the second day, it's turned to ice and it froze over. And all that stuff started melting. Because the temperature dropped above, and go above 32, 33, 40, you know, whatever, it would start melting. So then, you would have a sheet of ice. You may not get out that next day. You were out of luck, which was fine. I just had to stay home. But one day it snowed, and I called in, forget it. A couple hours later, they called and said, why aren't you? Look outside, almost melted on me. The streets were, you could see the black of the streets where they were white earlier that morning. Now they got to So, I enjoy it here in Florida. It's a cool breeze. Got my bike riding going. I've got 1.06 miles. Just talking to you guys. Talking about my jury duty story again. I think I've talked about it in another video or two. But it's neat if you ever get jury duty. Dress nice, look sharp, and wear your glasses, whether you need them or not. And if you look smart enough, but if you got time, be on the jury. I mean, people that had been on juries before said, I've been on a jury before. They asked, sometimes they would ask some of the people, or were you not satisfied with that jury? You know, there's something you didn't like about it. And anyone that's even implied they had a feeling about being on the jury and it didn't turn out the way they thought, it was a little, yeah. It wasn't quite the justice they thought it was going to be. Yeah, that's the way ours was. When it was a hung jury, we were like, that's not right. Because it kind of pushed the envelope on race and the people in the room. One race said they were not going to say guilty. 3 different people, all ladies, and they all walked into the jury room saying they weren't going to say guilty. They were strangers, but they were already grouped together and saying, walking in the jury room, we're not going to say guilty. And we were all of us were just like, what? So we went over the notes and talked about it a little bit and had votes. It wasn't going to change. When we go back outside, we said we had a hung jury. And that judge looked at us and said, was there any way to change this? Any way to fix this problem? And he was looking through the jurors. And I was just like, no. I looked at him in the eye, kind of, there's a problem here. And oh no, I'm sure you've dealt with it before. No. So that was it. And we were all ready to go. The oddest thing I thought about the jury process was those 2 cops had to be there both days. Not working, not safeguarding civilization for us. They were there both days, sitting, waiting to do their testimony. They brought in a blood expert to confirm the kid was drunk. He admitted to being drunk. He signed a confession that he was drunk, that he was driving the car. All this stuff happened, and then all of a sudden it just went out the window. And then the hung jury. And I was like, what? Signed the confession. And the lawyer just argued, well, he was drunk. He didn't know what he was doing. That confession's not worth anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the lawyer was so slick. He was a customer too. I knew who he was. I never waited on him, but I'd seen him one time and I got to know him later, And I relayed the story to him that I was on that jury, and he was like, really? And he was a nice guy and defended the kid well, and I don't know if they retried it because the judge said there was an option you could retry. And the poor little girl, she looked like she was just green as could be. And when they left for lunch, the 2 lawyers took a right and all the jurors were told to take a left to go out the front door. And he was chatting with the lawyer on the other side saying, well, you did a good job on this, you did a good job on that. He was encouraging her and giving her some, notes because, she was, when it was a hung jury, man, she was happy because she didn't lose. She could go back and say, I did not lose. We could retry it if we want to spend money, or I don't know what happened. It just hung jury, and that was it. After a day and a half jury duty, I was done. And now the next time I get called, they can say, have you ever been on jury before? And I'd be like, but who knows? Now that I'm sort of semi-retired, maybe I would sit there. It'd give me something to do. As long as I wasn't having trouble getting into the jury booth, I could walk up there. No problems, right? This has been a good video. I've talked to you guys. Give me a like, subscribe, show YouTube you love. You've learned some stuff about jury duties and riding a bike. It doesn't matter what kind of bike. If you go to e-cycle and get a Cannondale, a nice Cannondale they have, or an e-bike. E-bikes are great. This is called an Electra, and they do make electric bikes now, but the brand is older than most of the electric bikes. Trek usually has this brand, and that's where I got this bike. And I got it just for the exercise, just for the workout. You know, I would like a second bike for a little more speed because on the trails, everyone passes me. The electric bikes, the scooters. This is not a racing bike. This is a get-around bike. And it's great for shopping and going places. So get whatever you got that can ride and spin the pedals and oil the chain and pump the tires up. Get it and take it for a ride. You know, give it a go. Once you get really good zipping around, you can get a second bike. Some people have winter bikes, you know, it snows, it's nasty. You just clean that sucker off every time you come in. Or you just mount it up on a little stand on the back tire so you can pedal, and stay in the house and get a little workout in. So do what you got to do to stay healthy. Bike riding is a lot of fun. And I'll see you next time.